Gordon came in on a Saturday night when Marcus wasn't there, and I was carving the lamb for a chef's table. We used to do a chef's table for 8, and a chef's table. And Gordon came in. Good evening, everybody. Everyone was like, it's good. And I'm like carving this lamb for the chef's table to serve it. He stood up there. Everybody's cheering. Gordon. But everyone's looking around because he shouldn't. We know they're having a big dispute or whatever. No one really knew exactly what was going on, but it was really awkward. And yeah, I'm trying to carve this lamb to get out. And Gordon comes over, came straight to me, says, "I want you in France. We're moving to France in 3 weeks. I want you there." And I was just like, okay, this is really awkward. I need to be able to handle this.
Okay.
If I want to be successful, I need to be able to handle this. This is how it is. This is normal. There was no like physical abuse or anything like that, but it was just...
Yeah. Welcome back to the Chef JKP Podcast. And on the show this week, we have one of the most incredible chefs within the UAE. His name is Nick Alvis, and he is the founder of KMS, or Kitchen Management Solutions. Nick, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, James. Nice to be here.
So, first of all, before we get on to all of the chefy stuff that everyone wants to know about, the nitty-gritty, I want to know about your food and childhood. What got you interested?
Wow. Honestly speaking, this is all about honesty, this show, right? So I think we'll start, where I started. I did not enjoy school. I have never been someone that likes to be told where to be at what time, and I don't know why. Not in a bad way. I've always been a bit of a free spirit, to be honest. So being made to go to school was something that I knew I had to do, but I didn't enjoy it. I tried to get through as quickly as possible, and I wanted to be out in the world as quickly as possible, not knowing what I wanted to do as such. I didn't know I wanted to be a chef until, weirdly, we had a cookbook at primary school that older kids did, and I started making sausage rolls at home for my brother and put the recipe into a book. It's very strange, to be honest, and that didn't make me want to be a chef, but I obviously enjoyed spending time in the kitchen and cooking and cooking for people. And like my brother would absolutely love these sausage rolls that I made him. And
he's older or younger?
Yeah, older. He's about 4 years older than me. But he'd love them. He'd love it when I met him. It's like proper sausage meat. Right, get the blocks of puff pastry, not the pre-rolled. So, I mean, I didn't make the puff pastry at home. I think I must have been about 8 or 9. But yeah, so that was where I guess being in a kitchen, actually working with food, not really knowing anything about it, but obviously operating ovens and stuff in my mum's kitchen. And I think the real part of it is you're cooking for someone, and you're making someone happy, and you're doing something for someone that they enjoy. So that is a massive part of what we do and what our business is about. At the end of the day, it's hospitality. It's restaurants. You are providing a service, and you are basically there to make people happy and give them a nice experience. So yeah, that's where it started. As I say, I didn't know I wanted to be a chef at all. And then, school played a big part in me making a decision about career steps.
And how old were you when that decision initially came?
Well, 14, 15, because you're kind of forced by school to make a decision. Do you go sixth form? Do you focus on your A-levels and stuff like that? Do you get apprenticeships outside? What were then called NVQs. I don't know what they are now.
Yeah,
I'm not in touch, to be honest. Weirdly, Scott's working in the local college, keeps sending me pictures. Anyway, we'll get to that later. But yeah, about 14, 15, early 15.
Right.
Decided to go to Northampton College, which was the most local college, and luckily for me, it was a really good college, catering college, and ended up. I think I have to give my old man a shout out here because I don't thank him for much, but I think he really helped me make a decision. I was considering the armed forces, but that would have also been a chef in the army for some reason. I don't really know why. That chef thing was always in my mind for a little, for some reason. I always had the dream. So when I actually decided to become a chef and I enrolled in the college, even before that, actually, I had a dream of working in the Savoy or one of these grand London hotels, the best of the best. I always had that. If I was going to do it, I had to experience working at a really high level. I had no understanding of it whatsoever, but like Savoy, Ritz, they were probably the only two places I knew at that age. So that was when I was still at school. And then, enrolled at college. My dad took me all the way, to be fair. He helped me a lot in my early career. Did 2 years MVQ level 2.
And that was purely kitchen based, or you also did some F&B?
You have to do front of house as well.
Okay.
Which is great, to be honest, in hindsight. When you were told that you have to do that by the college, you're like, I don't want to do that. I just want to be a chef in the kitchen. But actually, you're made to be a waiter. You're made to be behind the bar. You're made to wash up the dishes. You do the lot. That's what the program was, the course was when I started. And obviously, you hate the day that you're the pot washer in your silly jacket and hairnet, and you feel like an idiot that you're washing all the dishes. But honestly, it grounds you. It's good. It is good. I don't know whether they do that anymore.
I think they do that in the UK, not necessarily here. Okay. Here is a different ballgame. Completely.
Yeah. So it's all about, everybody wants to be a chef, but they don't really know the rest of the areas and departments of back of house and front of house. And for me, that was probably the best part of the college, and that was the part I hated most. At that point, I'd bunk off in the afternoons if I had to do restaurant service. I hated it. Again, I just don't like being told. It's bad of me, really, looking back. I think I gave the lecturers a bit of grief at the time.
However, I mean, in your younger years, everyone gives their lecturers a bit of grief, so it's okay. But after that initial part, you got into your second year, you're about to graduate. What happened then?
So first year of college, I washed up in a local pub, my dad's local pub. He got me a job washing up. So that was the work experience side.
Okay, good.
Which was really important. So I did that for about 8 months, I think. And then I luckily got into a little hotel in Castle Ashby called the Falcon, which was probably the most famous little restaurant in the area in Northamptonshire at that time. So that was the posh restaurant. Everybody went to special occasions, and I was lucky enough to get hired as a commis chef there. Had a couple of friends working in the kitchen there as well, older than me. But they got me in somehow. The first night in there, so this was where you start learning about local produce and stuff like that. They grew everything in their gardens, and you don't know. You're told, go and get the apples out of chef's house. He had an apple tree at the front of his house. They were all like live-in staff. So you'd go and get the apples out of his front garden, bring them back, make crumbles and stuff like that. I mean, go on and on and on about it. But it was beautiful. It's a beautiful part of the world. I was very lucky to grow up in like really, really rural countryside, dairies. Everything was there. And you didn't know at the time, to be honest. So, I grew up surrounded by fields. No cities, no cars. Very much you use your pedal bike to get everywhere. And you use the produce that's around you. And that was just normal. Now it's a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a big deal.
Rhubarb would come in season. You'd pick it. You'd make crumbles for Sunday lunch. Apples alike, strawberries. I mean, whatever. And it was just there. The local trout was there. I mean, they've actually got a venison farm on the land now as well.
Wow.
But it's been actually, the Falcon has been recently refurbished and taken over. I'm planning on going there when I go home next for some lunch.
Nice.
But that was again lucky, because I could have ended up, loads of people at college were at the Swallow Hotel, which was the place to be if you wanted to be a tough chef, and a tough young chef. You needed to be you needed to train under I've forgotten his name, the executive chef there, but everybody feared him and said, and I got a phone call from him once saying, I've heard about you, what, do you want to come in and do a trial? And I was like, no, I want to stay at the Falcon. Like, this is where I want to be. This is the style of restaurant that I like. I like the family run aspect of it. Everybody would sit down to eat at the same times every day. That was like, you had to. It was mandatory. You couldn't skip staff lunch, staff dinner. You stop your work, you go and sit down with the owners of the hotel.
Wow. Okay.
Mr. and Mrs. Watson. Yes. I hope they're still around, but who knows? But yeah, I mean, all of that now is like a big deal, and to me, that was just normal back then.
But I think that's an amazing journey to have that as a young chef, to have that education, you know, to really understand the seasons, where everything is from, picking it fresh, all these kinds of things. And then after that, where did life take you?
I think I just turned 16, so that was all within like a year and a half.
So you learn about the seasons, you learn all of these things.
You kind of, yeah, you learn. I mean, being in the countryside, you know when strawberry season is because everybody goes picking strawberries. There's 2 strawberry farms down the road. You know when the rhubarb season is because everybody goes, I had rhubarb patches in my garden. Asparagus season, massive near where I live. It's huge. We used to do an asparagus menu at the Falcon. That's for the month.
Amazing.
So, I mean, and you just...
Take it for granted.
It was just normal. I mean, for me, I was learning all the time, and it was like, wow, it's asparagus menu, and oh my God, how am I going to do that, and how am I going to do this? And, you know, it was daunting, and it was quite scary, because you don't know what you're doing. You haven't got a clue.
So when you turned 16, so most 15-year-olds were out.
16, maybe 17.
Yeah. But after that, did you hang around in the same area, or did you decide to travel and go elsewhere?
Well, I got offered a position, which no one really knows about this, which my dad, again, it was more money. So I was on such a small amount of money. I was a part-time commie at the Falcon. You know, I'd go in every night after college, do college all day, get on my scooter, go in every night, do service there, finish about 10, half 10. And I did that for quite a while, probably about a year. But then it's a long time. You know, a year then is like forever. But then, a local theatre came asking if I would go there and be like a sous chef at like 17, I think. And it was a full-time job, and my dad was like, yeah, take it. You know, you need to start getting some money. And he was always on about me buying a house and things like that. It's like,
all dads do.
It was just like, okay, all right, I'll listen to you. I've listened to you this far. Right, I'm going to do it. So I went and did this, and I ended up cooking like steak sandwiches, and it was like, all right, I'm learning how to manage a kitchen a little bit. I'd start doing the ordering and stuff like that. Back then you would call on the answer machine. You'd call up the veg supplier, answer machine, blah, 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 10 kilo carrots.
Yeah.
So I learned all this when I was probably about 16, 17. The responsibility aspect as well. So it was all beneficial, you know. I'd have to clean the kitchen, close it at night. Responsible for making sure the ordering was coming in. You know, there was no purchasing departments and stuff like that. So I learned all that, thinking about it now. Although the cooking aspect wasn't really what I wanted to be doing, I learned how to start managing a kitchen, really. But it wasn't. There was only 3 of us in there, you know. It was a really small operation. But obviously being responsible, you know, keeping everything clean, hygiene.
Super young.
Young. Really, really young. Yeah, I know. I did a lot young. So then I decided that, I wanted to get back to like the more Falcon style, the country house hotels. This is what I like. I like the stuff coming from the garden, and you know, this is what I like. This style of cooking. I like this things I've never seen before. So then I also decided it was time to move home, move out, mum's house or dad's house, whoever I was with. I think I was with my dad, and it was like, how far can I go? And I literally looked at the map, and I was like, right, pointed left. Went all the way to, sent my CV. Those days, you'd write your...
cover letter or CV?
I don't even know if it was printed. It must have been printed. I think I had some help doing that. Printed it and sent it all across the country. Sent it to, even before I decided to go to Wales, I sent a CV there, not knowing really where I started. I bought the caterer. They used to have the jobs in the back. Wrote a load down that I fancied. Le Manoir was one of them. Weirdly, got turned down by Le Manoir. Without knowing who they were, and you know, didn't know anything about Raymond Blanc, nothing at all. But I saw that they were a top-rated restaurant, AA restaurant guides. You'd go through them, see where you fancied working, and you know who had the most rosettes and stuff like that. So anyway, yes, got a phone call from Wales, weirdly enough, which was the furthest 6-hour drive.
Cool.
From where my parents lived. My dad was like, all right, I'll take you for the interview. So drove me there.
Wow.
Spent the night there, had the interview. Fast forward, got the job, moved there. That was it, moved out. I was 17, 18 then. It was, 1996, 97, or 97, 98. No, it was 98, because it was the France World Cup.
Okay.
So yeah, moved to Wales, and then weirdly had this dinner the other night celebrating Welsh produce. That's why I've got a relationship with the Welsh government, because they know my story and how I spent time in Wales. But again, I moved to it was a two rosette hotel, not the top level, but a very good
decent
standard
level, yeah,
to go in at.
Yeah.
You know, I'd gone from the Falcon, which was 1 rosette, I moved up to a 2 rosette. And again, it was local produce. It was mad. The butcher would drive around in his van. You'd select the meat that's hanging in the back of the van. You'd go on in the morning, select what you want. You'd write the menu for the night before lunch with the chef. You'd all sit. We were all smokers, and back then that's how it was normal, very normal. Sit out the back of the kitchen for all of our notepads. Write what we got. What do we want? You know, the vans, the fish van would come round, the meat van would come round, the cheese van, the fruit and veg van. It was all would come round on trucks, and you'd select what you wanted every day.
So how big was the brigade then?
That brigade, it was a place called Warple Court. That was, I'd say about 6 people, 7 people maybe.
And the chef would actually sit with all of you and write the menu. So starters, okay, what are you doing for starters? What main course, garnish, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really cool, actually.
That's really cool.
It was so personal, if you like. You really felt part of what was going on.
Wow.
And that's how I learned at a very young age, working in the kitchen. That's what I thought it was all about. I thought this was like, this is what I do now. This is how I work. This is wherever I go. This is how it's going to be. But no.
And also the different types of produce, but also you knew you were, well, obviously from your previous job, you knew about seasons and when things were coming, but in a kind of different way. Yeah. But, and how was it working in a hotel for the first time?
Just tiny little boutique hotel, you know, it was maybe 10 bedrooms, maybe more, 10, 12 probably.
So, but you would also do the breakfast?
Yeah. Yeah, so, you get lumbered with breakfast shift, especially if you're a kid. My goodness, horrendous. Yeah. Nothing worse. And then when the clocks change as well, we've all been there surely, and you're up an hour late or an hour early for breakfast shift. Oh, what a nightmare. Yeah, no, never want to do that again. But again, you learn that part of it, and you have a full understanding of the entire job throughout a whole kitchen. So you learn, I mean, I think college really teaches you the basics of butchery and fishmongery and stuff like that. I think that's really good, because you don't necessarily do all that in restaurants. Although I've been very lucky that everywhere I've worked, you buy the whole product, you break it down. I remember being given so many different things, and it's just like, what am I going to do with this? How long is this going to take me? You know, whatever it might be, whole monkfish, and you've just got you got a wedding coming up, and you've got loads of them to do, or desserts, whatever it is. But you know, when you're doing everything from scratch, which is the way that I've been taught, you know, the work that goes into it is it's very technical
and laborious, but in a good way.
Yeah, but that's why every restaurant that I operate, that's how I work. That's how I work, and I really appreciate the work that goes into it, and I like to train younger chefs how to appreciate that, and really appreciate and respect the produce as well, rather than a vac-packed.
Yeah.
I mean, over here it is challenging, but I've trained a lot of guys up, and you know, I think I've given them a lot more than what a lot of kitchens would give them over here, with respect.
Yeah, no, of course. So you started off as a commie there in the hotel.
Yeah, I left as a chef de partie. So
how long were you there for?
About a year and a halar.
Okay.
It was a long way from home, and a year when you're that age is a long time, right?
So on your days off, you wouldn't see family? You'd just be hanging out, they'd come to see you, or you'd be with the chefs eating somewhere else, or whatever?
Down the pub.
Yeah, okay. Very good. After Wales, 18 months, where then?
Where did we go after Wales? I think, where did I... Then it was, I wanted to go back nearer home. Still in country house hotels. That was my thing, you know. I felt comfortable in country house hotels. I was scared of London, I must admit. I was scared to make that step. I was brought up visiting London every Sunday. But both sets of grandparents lived in North London.
Right.
We lived in Northampton, which was like an hour maximum, straight down the M1. We would visit my grandparents pretty much every weekend. So I knew London. I know London well. I've always been in London. But I was nervous to get immersed with this big it's daunting, right? It's scary. We all know that. Before you start in London, it's a scary day, right? As you know.
Yeah.
So I've wanted to avoid London. I read about a chef called John Campbell. Do you remember John Campbell? Vineyard,
2-star.
Yeah, 2-star chef that had never been to London. That's his story. And I was like, so if he can do it without going,
he did amazing things.
Yeah, he did.
John Campbell was a legend.
Trained Nathan Outlaw, didn't he? So I was like, right, let's see how far we can get without going to London. So Fawsley Hall, which was a brand new opening. I think obviously the building was there, absolutely stunning, Tudor, whatever era. I think it's stunning. This is like, it was another level up. It was more 3 rosette. So I was like, I want to get 3 rosettes on my CV. It was all about that before I really understood Michelin, to be honest. So it was Fawsley Hall that introduced me to Michelin, and the restaurant was under Nico
Ledenis.
consultancy. So he sent his team to open the restaurant, and it was the head chef Tim Johnson that opened and launched, and I joined about a year in. But I walked in and the standards were, this is not where I've come from. This is scary. This is they called it a London kitchen in the countryside. That's what it was nicknamed.
So backtracking a little bit, for people who don't know who Nico Ledenis is, he is one of the top high-end, best 3-star Michelin chefs of his time.
Yeah, of course. I mean, everybody knows Pierre Kaufmann, who's reinvented himself, bless his heart. I mean, how he still keeps so busy now is unbelievable. I'm sure lots of chefs over here are using Pierre Kaufmann's chips, but Pierre Kaufmann is from an era that was the same as Nico Ledenis and Le Gavroche in its time, and they were the three Michelin star restaurants of London that every big name chef now had to work for.
So coming from Wales, having a fantastic small team, being involved every day in the operation, 2 rosette, solid level. Then you went into a 3 rosette with Nico Ledenis' team. How was the first day?
Awful. It was just a different mentality. Really tough guys. It was like, I've never been spoken to like this, and am I going to handle this? Can I handle this? Can I be spoken to like this without answer? I was, answering back. I was always known. Stop answering back, Nicholas. That was how I was spoken to many times.
How old were you when you joined that brigade?
18, 19.
Okay.
Yeah, 19, 20. I think I was there, maybe, 19, 20. Yes, it was, yeah. 19,
so
20.
You still had a solid grounding, but then going into this team...
Yeah, this was...
another level altogether.
Different level, yeah.
So which section were you first put on?
I don't even remember my first day. I don't even remember. I remember my first day everywhere, but there I think I was so scared.
Right.
Honestly, the way that the way that the language in the kitchen... I remember my interview, my stage, as we used to call it. I remember that, and I remember meeting my mate, who's one of my best mates now, Danny, who crashed his car on his way in and was late for work. It's just an absolute disaster. But everybody mocked him, and he became one of my best friends. I remember that, but I don't actually remember my first days. I think I was so scared.
Right.
Scared, not nervous.
Yeah.
Scared. But I knew I had to do it. I didn't really know Nico was at that point, although in Wales, the book was on the shelf. Nico's book was on. I would always flick through and be like, wow, what is this? And my sous chef then was like, it would go on about Nico, and he would go on about the Oak Room and the Marco at that point. And he was like, yeah, you need to go and work for these guys. You need to go and work for I was like, right, okay. Anyway, got to Fawsley Hall. Lasted, I don't even know what position I was. I think a demi chef. Lasted a while. A year or so there as well. It was always
touch and go.
No, it was always like you have to have a year on your CV. If you don't have a year on your CV, no one's interested. That's what I was always told by my peers at the time. Get a year and then see where you are, and then it might be time to go on to something else. And as you can see with my CV, it was going in the right direction. So year there. My goodness, thrown out of the kitchen. All sorts. But did I learn there? I learned that this is what I need. I need to be able to handle this.
Okay.
If I want to be successful, I need to be able to handle this. This is how it is. This is normal. There was no like physical abuse or anything like that, but it was just tough. It was tough. There was, you don't. No one took any. There's only one word I can use, and I can't use it.
Yeah.
No, honestly, there was.
Okay.
It was very hard. So yeah, what did I learn there? I cooking wise, not a lot. It was just mentality.
Okay.
It was
how to be in a tough kitchen.
Yeah. So from then on, couldn't wait to get out. This is when I started to get approached because my CV people are so young, but you all know whatever town you're in or where you're industry people. Like here, we all know each other, so people hear about you and. If you're looking for a job and someone says, "Oh, there's something there, that's pretty cool, check it out." So there was a brasserie in town, which was the coolest brasserie in Northampton at the time, called Metro's. Now, it's like what was that? But it was the coolest place to be at the time. Applied, got sous chef position there. Obviously, a big increase in salary. That was a head turner, but then I realised I didn't know enough, so went back down. I then went on to work with my mate who was the sous chef at Fawsley Hall. He'd set up on his own in Wiltshire, little 2 rosette pub restaurant, beautiful. It's stunning. Again, all the produce, everything around. It's just normal. So ended up there for a bit while I was figuring things out, and then London. It was like, right, I can't do that. I've got to go to London. I've got to go to London. So. Yeah, packed my bags, and Danny from Fawsley was at Nico's brasserie, Nico Dennis's little brasserie, which was beautiful. Absolutely, this was top notch Charvet suite, put in the basement, very compact but so efficient. It's obviously designed and put together by 3-star chefs, and at the time, Paul Rhodes. Do you remember Paul Rhodes?
Mm-hmm.
So Paul Rhodes was executive chef for Nico. Obviously seen him in book. Was like in awe all the time. Nico would be coming in with his wife, and it was Nico and Dinah Jane, and then Marco would come in for drinks, and it was just like, what is going on here? But that's when 18-hour days started, and that was a lot to handle.
You were on 2 days off, or
At Nico's, yes. Days off were just gone. And it was split days off. The restaurant was closed on Sundays, and you'd get a day in the week as well. But it was very weird. It was a bit blurry. I can't really remember. It's just so tired. It's gone from like country house hotels where you are doing hours. You're doing 12 hours, maybe a bit more on busy days. But you in London to go straight into 18-hour days, 21. It was like a big hit. So the mentality I'd got over that side of it, but it was like this was tough.
Well, it's not just the 18-hour days, it's also the travel before and after, all of that
Sitting
kind of stuff.
on the buses, waiting for buses, undergrounds.
Yeah.
Obviously you'd finish too late for the underground, but you'd have to get the first one in. Yeah, I mean, all of that, anyone that's worked in London knows exactly what I'm on about. I don't need to bore everybody with it, but that is incredibly tough. You're working really long hours, and then you've got to sit on a bus for at least an hour with people. It's scary. It's scary as well. You're in a big place. It's a different world, London, when you've never experienced it like that. It is a different world. I was in Shaftesbury Avenue, so it's a bit of a madhouse down there. There's all sorts of crazy things going on. But yeah, again, it's all, it builds you. And that was just, I had to do it. I knew I had to do it. I was trying to avoid going to London, and it was like, you know what? Bite the bullet, do it. Hated it. Hated working there. And after about 8 months, I packed up.
What made you do that? What was the decision for you to pack up there?
I couldn't stand it. I really was unhappy. I had a girlfriend at the time. We've all experienced, we'll never see you. And so I was like, well, okay. So back to Northampton. Back to Metro's as head chef.
Okay.
At 23.
Oh my God.
22, 23. Yeah. So I was head chef again. Nice, bigger salary. Well, all right. The coolest brasserie in town. Blah, blah, blah. Again, did a year, whatever, and I was like, I'm not old enough. I'm not good enough. I don't know enough. I just don't know enough. So there was a lot of indecisive moments, but it was actually quite a short period. So that took me to, I think I then went on to Chris again, opened up in Ipswich, another pub restaurant, went on to achieve 3 rosettes. I helped him launch that, refurb it, worked. You know, he's a great friend of mine as well. You know, I knew he needed someone he could trust to come in and do a job, but I was with him for 2 years on that project, if you like. And that took me to being 25. So yeah, you know, I kept going up and up in my career, but to be a head chef at 23, this was when I really realised this is a incorrect decision. Incorrect. You're working in a restaurant that isn't good enough. You don't know enough. Yeah, all right, you're earning a decent salary for your age, but I was lucky. I don't know how, but I was lucky enough. I don't know whether anybody really steered me, but I was lucky enough to realise that I knew I wouldn't be earning that forever, and I just didn't know. I wasn't comfortable with the knowledge that I had. I just wasn't comfortable with it. So then it was over to Claridge's, where I met you.
So, to paint the picture, Claridge's, Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah.
It was in the era where he had, I think, either 9 or 10 or 13, something like that, Michelin-starred restaurants all over the city of London back then, with some huge names.
Yeah.
Claridge's, of course, being one of the top places. When you and Claridge's is not a country house hotel.
No.
You've got a brigade who I always describe as hungry lions, because they're all wanting to get to the top, and everybody's there to do a job. However, when you first walked into that kitchen, coming from a brasserie and doing all these bits and bobs, did you feel then, okay, now I'm going to get my head down and really understand and learn?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, again, you always remember your stage. I'm going to call it a stage because that's what we used to call it, right? You don't call it a working trial. We call it a stage. You go on, weirdly, I'll tell you the story about Claridge's. I was sending my CV all over the country to 1, 2-star restaurants, not 3. I didn't think I was ready for that. I'd experienced Nico's 90 Park Lane, which was a 3 Michelin star restaurant, but when I experienced it, he'd gave his stars back. Right. Which is another huge story. I can sit here and talk for hours about all of this. I happened to go and work for Nico when he gave his stars back. How, what is that all about? Anyway, they managed to get one back. And then I worked for a little bit at 90 Park Lane. They'd call me to go and help. I'd do a week there every now and then and stuff like that, which was great. You know, this again was really character building for me to see. So I had that experience. Not proper experience. I don't write that on my CV. That's not. To do a week at 90 Park Lane is experience for you. You don't need to share that with a future employer. You don't need to share that with people you're training. It's just it's more of a mental exercise than an actual knowledgeable exercise. To prepare that anxiety that you've got walking through the doors of one of the most famous restaurants in London is big heartbeats, right?
Big time.
So that was Nico's. So going to Claridge's, I sent my CV so many places. Again, handwritten, boom, 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 sent it everywhere. Got very little replies. Fat Duck turned me down. Midsummer House, I was dying to get into Midsummer House. Nothing, didn't even reply. Seen on Instagram this week, Daniel Clifford asking for chefs to join. I said it to Scott. I said, it's unbelievable how many times I sent my CV to this guy. Didn't reply once. So anyway, never mind. That was then. I'm not coming now. And then my mum and her husband were in Claridge's. They don't eat there often, but it was a birthday present or something, Christmas present. They were dining in Claridge's and started talking to the staff about me and how I've sent my CV to all these places. And one of the staff or managers, I don't know who it was, on the floor went and told Sarge in the kitchen, Mark Sargent, who was head chef at the time. It was way back then when it was, the bee's knees really was. Mark went out to speak to my mum very kindly. He's a bit of a charmer, old Sarge. And gave my mum his phone number on a napkin, I think, and told her to give it to me and give him a call. Random, totally random.
Wow.
And this is what happened. I gave him a call. You called people back then. You didn't WhatsApp them. And you know, I called Mark Sargent, and he asked me to come down for a stage. I did a day down there. Got the train down there. Did a day. I mean, the walking to the back door of Claridge's, no one welcomes you. you got to walk in the steps. Remember the big door?
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
Yeah.
You go up the steps with your bag of knives. It's like, oh dear.
Yeah.
Walking in, everybody's pushing on like mad. The noise in there is incredible. So, and this is something this is something else. It was a machine, that kitchen. It really won it. It was an absolute machine. So going in there, I mean, you're just like absolutely terrified. Did a day there. It was madness. And I was like, is this really what this is all about? It was mad. I remember like Ronnie cooking with all his pans and arms and everything, like an octopus. There was a guy called Sam. So if anybody listens to this, I'm sorry, but it's hilarious. This guy was on the hot starters and purees and everything. It was just like covered in purees. He had to make that many in the morning, and it was just like, what is going on? This is absolute madness. And obviously, that's where I met you. That's where I met Scott, which is another story altogether. Got some real lifelong friends from time spent in that kitchen. I lasted about best part of 3 years. 3 years. I mean, a year everywhere, and then 3 years there, because I knew how important it was. You know, you start on the cold section on the larder. We used to work together on there, didn't we? Canapes, hot starters, garnish, fish section, meat section, sauce. I knew I had to learn everything in there. I had to learn everything. The only section I didn't work on in there was pastry. I didn't get to it, but I felt I had enough pastry knowledge. For some reason, I focused a lot on pastry at college. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. I took a real shine to it. I think I really got on well with the lecturer. He was a mad Swiss guy, totally bonkers. And we clicked, and I really, he taught me a lot when it came to pastry, so that was great. And I felt I had enough basics, but what I didn't have is sauce making and all this stuff. You know, it was like, this is a different level. You remember, like on the fish section, you'd have a line of pans, you'd make the fresh sauces every day. It was insane, right? But it was
amazing.
You've got it forever.
It was amazing.
Forever. And that took me 3 years, nearly 3 years, to realise that I've got enough from this kitchen. I need to move on now. So that was a 1-star at the time. And then it was, I need to go 2-star. So 1, 2, 3 rosette. Now 1, 2, 3 Michelin stars. So, well, that's, you know, the next step was 2 stars. So Sarge got me up on the chef's table. Gordon's opening up in Paris. Want you to go out there. They're aiming for 2 Michelin stars in 12 months. I was like, when? It was like, it's probably a year or so off. And I was like, well, I need to move. I can't spend another year here. I'd got up to junior sous chef. I started as chef de partie at Claridge's, left as junior sous chef. Got onto the pass for Scott's sake, because I know he will listen to this. He will always laugh his head off when I got thrown off the pass for answering Steve back or something like that. I got lobbed off the pass, but so did Scott. I think Sarge lobbed Scott off the pass. But anyway, that's for you, Scott. But yeah, no, and I was like, I really want to do this job in front. I'm really ready to do something like that, but I can't wait. I can't work another year in here. I need to keep going. You know, I was hungry to learn more. I was on, you know. It was everything. Kitchen life, cooking, big name chefs, restaurants, kitchen. It was
so you were
everything.
immersed, because you were obviously, Mark Sargent was a big chef back then. Obviously Gordon, the people that came through that restaurant. I mean, it was monster. It was a machine. So what was the move you decided to make once you spoke to Sarge and said, listen, I need to go somewhere else?
So Steve, who was the head chef at the time, put my name in front of Marcus Wareing, and then I was in Petrus, which was then Petrus, and I've got to be careful what I say here, but yeah, I mean, these are big people now. You know, they're very, very big, and I still respect so much. I really do. I mean, without these people, I'd be nowhere. Gordon, Marcus, Nico, Mark Sargent, Steve. Even Steve was a great leader in that kitchen. Where he really was a fantastic leader. What a role model for all the younger chefs. He was top bloke. So yeah, Marcus sat me in his office. I want 3 stars. I want you to help me get them. I want you to be part of the team. Come on to the sauce. You know, I know you've been cooking sauce at, we just call it sauce, right?
Yeah,
the meat section.
Yeah.
I know you've been cooking sauce at Claridge's for the last couple of years or so, although it sent me off the rails for doing it as long as I did. It was such a busy section. And again, everyone, you didn't have to do the butchery because Pete used to, all right, whatever. But it was still a
still
damn
hardcore. It was still
hard job.
But how was the attitude of the chefs? You had Claridge's, Junior Sue. I mean, a super respectable position there. Moving on to Marcus Wareing, what was the position that you were given there?
I don't even know. I was just put there. It was about the same. I think it was just like for like.
Okay.
I actually think I was put there as a chef de partie. Weirdly.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe that was because of their payroll or what. I don't know. I don't know because I just went and did it. It was what I wanted to do. I didn't really care. Do you know what I mean? It was just like, I need to go there and do this. I need to work in a 2-star. I've not worked in a 2-star.
And because Marcus back then was sort of affiliated anyway with Gordon.
Yeah.
How was the brigade? Were they the same? Was it different because they were a 2-star? How was it?
Yeah, it was different. But I joined there at a point where, like, James Knappett was there, Tristan Welsh was there. These were the guys that apparently got the 2-star. I mean, this was the chat amongst chefs,
right?
But they were leaving. They were on their way out. I think James had already left. I think he popped in a few times after he's been to Thomas Keller's
French Laundry. Per se.
I mean, very talented guy. But you knew when they were around that there was a lot of noise. So again, you know, working around these guys it's nerve-wracking. It is a little bit. You know, you're out of your comfort zone. You've walked into a kitchen where it's very tight-knit. Petrus was. It was Petrus at the time, the original Petrus. Well, no, the second. St. James was the original, and then it went to
the
Barclay, yeah. So yeah, I mean, I would have to start work at 6 in the morning. I'd cycle across Hyde Park, be in the kitchen for 6. I had to have to get all the sauces and stocks made before lunch service, and there were so many consommes, and it went on and on and on. There was like we had like I think it was a triple solid top in this part of the kitchen. Stock boilers. I'd have everything on by 7. Everything. It's mad. It was mad. It was so hard, really hard. But the difference in that kitchen, it was very much. It was a bit more of a family. There was a calmness in that kitchen. There wasn't a lot of shouting. It was, you know, there's some big name guys. Alan Williams was the head chef. Chantel Nicholson was on pastry. What's his name? Who was head chef? Him and his wife, who did Great British Menu recently. Mark Freudenland. He was at college. He was an apprentice that was actually at Westminster College when I was there.
Wow.
So he'd be coming in, doing his training, and he ended up staying for years and ended up being Marcus's executive chef. Yeah, really interesting stories. But yeah, it was so hard. And I was there, and then Gordon came in one night. That was when him and Marcus were divorcing, if you like. It was really, really bumpy times. You know, Gordon would come in, and it was like, what's going on here? And we knew there was a lot of friction between these two powerhouses
Giants
in the industry.
Yeah.
You know, you're looking at them, you're like, oh God, what is going to happen here? But anyway, weirdly enough, Gordon came in on a Saturday night when Marcus wasn't there, and I was carving the lamb for a chef's table. We used to do a chef's table for 8, and a chef's table, and Gordon came in. Good evening, everybody. Everyone was like, it's good. And I'm like carving this lamb for the chef's table to serve it. He stood up there, everybody's cheering, Gordon. But everyone's looking around because he shouldn't. We know they're having a big dispute or whatever. No one really knew exactly what was going on, but it was really awkward, really awkward. And yeah, I'm trying to carve this lamb to get out, and Gordon came straight to me, says, "I want you in France." It's like we're going in 3 weeks or something. We're moving to France 3 weeks. I want you there. And I was just like, okay, this is really awkward. What do I do? And I'm literally, he didn't care that I was carving the lamb to serve the chefs. And obviously, that's the most important thing that you're doing at that point. It's got to be hot. It's got to be seasoned. It's got to be beautiful. I've got to send it on the pass. Alan's got to serve it.
Alan was there?
Yeah. I think Alan was there that night. Alan or Matt. Mark. Mark was the sous chef. Alan was the head chef. Honestly, I'm not. I think if Marcus wasn't there, Alan was there.
Yeah.
That was generally how it was. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure. But, yeah, really weird situation. And it was like, oh, so I've now got to tell Marcus. Well, I didn't know, actually. I was like, oh, this is crazy. My head's all over the place. I've got some serious thinking to do. Obviously, I had to finish service that night. You don't get home till 1 a.m. Closed on Sunday, so we were all off on Sunday. So I had a bit of time to think. And it was just like, you know what? Sarja told me about it. They're gunning for 2 stars. Simone, who's the head chef patron from Royal Hospital Road, he's heading up the team. You know, this is going to be a standard, and the next level for me is it's going to be a 3-star standard. All right, they're going for 2, but this is going to be, I'm going to be working at a 3-star standard. In France, another massive move. I've got to do it. How can I, Gordon in my face telling me you're going? I'm like, right. What do you say? So it was like, I've got to go. And literally I had to, I think on the Monday, Mark Askew, again, a titan in the industry, you know, back in the day.
Yeah.
I mean, such a respected guy, was Gordon's
proper
real
right hand,
man.
yeah.
No, I used to live around the corner from Mark Askew. He used to live in this beautiful little mews, and I used to live in this rubbish flat above a shop. But it was like literally on the same street, and I used to see him. I used to be on my mountain bike going through High Bike, and he used to come out on his Vespa, and he'd be getting in his Braggart and his Braggart shoes.
Nice.
And he'd be going to every restaurant before they opened, checking everyone.
Wow.
He'd do the lot.
Wow.
And I used to see him go out every morning. It was crazy. But yeah, he basically gave Marcus my notice, which was just like, he told Marcus, Nick's going in, it's like 3 weeks or something.
That must have been tough for you.
I'm saying 3 weeks. I think it was a week. I didn't do 3 weeks with that awkward situation.
Yeah.
No, it was a week. He gave him a week's notice. I had to go.
Did Marcus speak to you during that time? Or
no, he would not speak to me. It was horrible. It was horrible because we actually had a respect for each other.
I'm sure.
And it was horrible because it was just like, I'm letting you down, but I can't not do this. You know, I can't. I've been 8 months with you, and all right, it's not quite what I wanted to do, and I wanted to be part of helping you get 3 stars, but I can't turn this down. I just can't. And what am I supposed to say, Gordon? No. It's just not. It's not going to happen. So Marcus wouldn't speak to me. I had to do service with him every day, lunch and dinner. He didn't move on. He made sure he was on the pass every day. And I was obviously giving the meat up, and it was like, I hope, he could make my life incredibly difficult here, and throw everything at me. And say it's not enough, not good enough, not good. Anyway, he just didn't speak. So it was horrible.
Which is worse, almost.
I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, the week came to an end, and I on my last service, I approached him and apologised and said, and he just said, "Are you leaving for me or are you leaving for you?" Oh no, that wasn't it. Wasn't it? I said, "Can I speak to you, please, Marcus?" He was like, "Do you want to speak to me about you or me?" And I said, "Me." He was like, "I've got nothing to say." And I was like, gutted.
Yeah.
And obviously I've never spoke to him ever again.
Okay.
And I would never really like to. I'm sure he won't even remember me now.
But that wasn't your fault.
No.
But and also you were put in between two big guys, and it was a very difficult position.
Yeah,
it was very difficult position.
What a unique situation. Right? Yeah. So anyway, so that was that, and then on to France to work with Simone.
And Simone, how was he?
How long have you got?
Okay, so he was full on.
Oh, incredibly. But he taught me. I don't want. We talk forever about this stuff. It's such big moments in my life. Going there, obviously, had to learn French. Luckily enough, again, France was my best subject at school for some bizarre reason. I didn't really do well at anything at school, but French was my best grade. I'm not even going to tell you what it was, but it was my best. So I knew basics. And obviously learning French repertoire de la cuisine, Le Russe gastronomique. As kids, we were taught the French terms of everything. So I had a head start. But I used to have to do French lessons every afternoon during split shifts.
Wow.
The drive there to get the 2 stars was incredible. 2/3 of the team were French, and they wouldn't work through lunch. They wouldn't work these hours. So there was 3 of us that grafted. 2 were from Royal Hospital Road. Sean, who was the sous chef at Royal Hospital Road, and Pietro, who was the chef de partie there. They came over with Simone. I came over from Petrus. So there was a decent core of lads, gentlemen. We had an American girl called Cara, so she wanted to graft. So the French guys would come in and leave when they wanted, go for their lunch, and you'd be there.
Oh my God.
So 2 stars, 2 stars, 2 stars, 2 stars.
Yeah.
Faye Mashler came over for lunch and sat on the chef's table. It was like she got the Eurostar. It was like pressure was immense. Opening night, Guy Savoy was there. Pierre Kaufman was standing on the pass. Gordon was obviously there. It's like
Flipping
mad.
heck.
Yeah, mad. But again, we achieved that goal. We set out to achieve 2 stars. Obviously, it was Simone's drive that really pushed. But as you can only do it with a team, and that's the importance of a team in a restaurant kitchen. You can't do it alone.
So how long were you in France for? How long was that period?
18 months. About 18 months, yeah.
And then you got grabbed again by Gordon.
What happened then? No. I was trying to escape Gordon then. I was trying to run away. He kept pulling me back. By no means were me and Gordon close. That's for sure. He knew I was a grafter. He's seen me in his kitchens, and I think everybody, he would say to the chefs, the head chefs or whatever, like Sergeant, who's that or whatever, and that's why I got. It wasn't like me and Gordon used to go out for beers and stuff like that at all.
No.
Scott's relationship with Gordon was much closer than mine, but he knew I was a grafter. He saw me in the kitchens, and he'd pick me out because right, need someone like you to go and do that.
Yeah.
What was the question?
From France.
From France, well, it was recession. So 2007, 2008, I was in France. Came back to the UK in the recession. Bleak, very bleak. Wanted to do something on my own. I was 28, 29. Got to that point now where, all I've done is push for the knowledge, push for the experience. And now I want to put that knowledge to the test. So I took over a tiny little coaching in near Reading, Berkshire, on my own. And this is why I go back to the importance of teamwork, because being on your own, hell.
That must have been horrendous.
Yeah.
After working in such a full-on team environment.
I was just on my own. It was like I'd have a washer-upper for the weekends who would help me do some prep and wash up. But I was making bread. I'd cook for about 20 people a night, 30, 40 on Fridays and Saturdays. So did a nice Sunday lunch. Used to get the Reading footballers coming over for Sunday lunch. That became quite renowned. But there was only ever 2 of us in the kitchen.
So how long did you do that for?
About a year again. The recession just did no one any favours. I stopped. The owner of the property didn't pay me for a month. Got into the second month, didn't pay me. And I grafted there. I'd bake fresh bread every day. Every day. This is my mantra. Fresh is best. As we usually say.
Yeah.
That's how I'm trained, and this is the food I want to serve. So, I will go in the morning at 7 o'clock, 6:30, 7 to bake fresh rolls for lunch. I will do that. It wasn't of a Michelin star standard.
No, but still, I'm sure it was.
But it was as good
solid,
as I could do.
Yeah.
It was everything I've learned. I was putting it to the test. It was me challenging myself in a way. But cooking, washing up, cleaning the kitchen, all of it, deep cleaning yourself, all of it. I would do the lot. Character building again. You know what you can do. You know your limitations, and you know What's the opposite of limitation? You really know how you can push yourself to achieve the maximum possible, right? So that's what I did. Got some good reputation. Got us, as I said, the footballers used to come over for the Sunday lunch. It was bang on. It was lovely. It was delicious. But then, it was like, I don't know if you remember that year, but there was like really bad snowstorms, and the restaurant had to close for a week, and there was all these excuses about not paying. I was just like, you know what, this is going. I've done a year alone, really understood what I can do, what I can achieve alone. And literally, it was just at that point, and Scott rang me and he was like, I've been offered a job in Dubai randomly. Do you want to come out? And, it's to relaunch Gordon's restaurant there. He'd been offered the executive chef for the hotel. That was the deal. Gordon provided an executive chef for the hotel, and a head chef for the restaurant, and a manager, restaurant manager. So Scott was like, I've got to be head chef. He had to be executive chef of the hotel. I need a head chef. Do you want to come out and run? It was called Wareing by Gordon Ramsay, which was Gordon's first overseas venture. By that time, it was 9 years old. I didn't really know anything about it. I knew that Jason opened it, and then Angela took over. Big names again. To follow in their footsteps, it's like, all right, let's give it a go. It can't be bad. And Scott was like, I've been out there. It's amazing. Come out. And I was like, do I need to go and check it, or do I trust my best pal, Mr. Scott Price? And I trusted it. I packed I'm really sorry, Keith, the owner of the Cricketers. I packed my bag up in the night. He hadn't paid me for 2 months. Packed the car up and went. I went to Dubai.
Fair enough.
That week I had my medicals and everything and just flew to Dubai, and that was it.
So then Table 9 itself was sort of, it was amazing. It was amazing that you ran that place for almost 18 months, right, there? Yeah, because Gordon's contract it was 10 years up. So we went out there in the 9th year, didn't really know, and negotiations were being had to re-sign, and it didn't work out. So he didn't sign, so then the hotel said, would you like to take it over as Table 9? Nick and Scott?
Not really quite like that. A restaurant space became available, which we were working in, and we were like, should we pitch? Should we pitch to take it over? They didn't offer it.
Okay.
We had to do a presentation to Essam Abuda, who was the Hilton head of F&B, regional head of F&B. We had to put a presentation together. This is where it all began for the concept development. This was the very first. Didn't even know what it was, So we put together a concept deck.
Okay. And they accepted it.
Yeah. That's a very short way of
sure.
It was scary, and it was daunting. Gordon's name, being associated with that venue for that location for 10 years, and then it's us. It's like, okay,
a lot of pressure.
I didn't feel that pressure, I must admit. I think Scott felt that pressure quite a lot. I think Scott was very, very much a Gordon Ramsay guy. Well, it was for a long time, a bit more than me. I was always doing it for me, selfishly. Like Claridge's, I wanted that. Once I'd got it, I was out onto the next thing. I want the 1-star, I want the 2. I had a real plan of what I wanted from each place that I worked. It came together. A bit of luck, I guess. Scott did the Gordon Ramsay scholarship. Then he got the job at Claridge's through that, and he was there 7 years.
Yeah, long time.
Long time. He was a stalwart of Claridge's, and a very much relied upon senior chef of the Gordon Ramsay team. So it was a different thing. There was Scott had a different outlook on the Gordon Ramsay relationship. I was a bit more gung ho with it,
But now you've opened your own business in Dubai, ex-Gordon Ramsay kitchen, which is a big deal, big shoes to fill. But you still managed to really make a huge impact in the industry at that time. It was for the location. It's not an easy location either, let's be honest. But a lot of people, and you would be recognised for the food and the service within the city. And you did make a very big name for yourselves. Back then, it was, I remember it well, everybody that was one of the go-to restaurants. Yeah. It was really a big deal. So then you stepped away from Table 9.
Yeah, look, I mean, Table 9 was in an era of Dubai. The Dubai era wasn't such a melting pot of now high-end restaurants. I mean, it was a melting pot of restaurants, but they were
different.
With respect.
Yeah.
They were very much hotel-led
yes.
venues. So it was a very much hotel style of service. There wasn't the personality in restaurants that we've got now. Where it has come on leaps and bounds, man. Yeah, it's great now. And honestly, now to launch a restaurant here now, that's daunting. Whereas before it was Table 9. We were kind of pioneering something.
Yes, homegrown. You guys were super homegrown.
Yeah, homegrown chefs. What we did, no one else was doing. Couldn't really touch it. So it had a unique
big time
USP to it, and it was exciting, and it was really manageable. We were with Hilton, who were great to work with. Mike Narbacek, who's become a great friend now, was so supportive. He was the GM at the time, and helped. It just helped. It was like a mate, and he helped. He is a mate, but back then he was the GM of a hotel. You didn't call him mate. Now we call him mate. He was a guy. You went to his office, and this is a big deal. I mean, the GM's office of a Hilton hotel, and we're talking about launching a restaurant. But he was so excited about it, and that energy, was fantastic. It was such an exciting time. It was really, really good. And we received all the accolades and whatever, and didn't really do it for that. Moving to here with no Michelin guide, no AA guide, it was just go for it. There's not really. Time out was the big one, but for me at that point, I didn't really.
But you've done everything.
I wasn't really bothered about time out. I think Scott was a little bit more than me. There's a little bit more to that story, but I wanted just to do again everything that I can, use all my knowledge up, everything, put it all back on the plate, if you like, back in the kitchen, back in the restaurant, back to start training chefs. I'd never really trained chefs, start training waiters, and it was all of that I'd worked towards, like regurgitating it, So that was the plan. Hit 30 and right, it's time. You're a man now. It's time to be head chef. It's time to show everybody what you've been working for.
So look, after that success, what I want to discuss now is Folly. Because Folly, again, was, and it still is, one of the leading restaurants. I wouldn't say it's a leading restaurant within Dubai. I would say it's one of the leading restaurants within the Middle East. People really know the name synonymously, still rightly so, with Nick and Scott.
Making me cry.
Yeah. The food. Okay, I'm not going to talk about the food. Location, number one. Madinat Jumeirah, center of Dubai, beautiful location. Beautiful location. And then you get onto the concept with this beautiful rooftop bar, the drinks, all of that. But this time, it was really you. This time was what you were, you guys, a culmination of all of the years of the hard work that you have done to be put into this restaurant. And at this time, you weren't really chef. You were more kind of chef patron, which is a different story altogether. You were more of the manager overseeing everything. Yeah. How was that for you?
I think at the beginning, that's where the Nick and Scott partnership really was needed. And Victoria as well. Three of us. Just a slight backward step. We worked with Al Bawadi Group, which the owners of Spinneys UAE, and we worked with them to develop some a restaurant concept of more of a relaxed, all-day cafe style restaurant concept for them. They asked us to do that after they'd become regulars in Table 9, became friends. They asked us for some help, so we actually did a project with them for about 2 years.
Right.
Designing, building and launching 3 restaurants at the same time. Same concept.
Sure.
But that's where we really learned about building restaurants and your plumbing, your electricity, MEP we call it. You're working with designers, you're working with contractors. This really was huge in what Folly was needed to launch Folly. So it wasn't just straight from Table 9 to Folly. There was actually a real important piece of the puzzle, if you like, of learning these things that not many people know about. The groundwork, So then Folly came, we found it was a shell of a restaurant. It used to be the Rivington that everybody knew back then. Really popular space. Fell in love with the location, the view, the rooftop. We can do this, we can do that, we can do this. It was like endless, and it became our Folly is going to be a place where you can come for so many different experiences. You know, everybody that leaves Folly says we're going to come back and try that, or we're going to bring. You know, we're going to have our wedding here, or we're going to have our baby shower. It just became a venue. It wasn't just a restaurant, which made it a bit harder, to be honest, because my focus was on the food. My focus was on the kitchen. Victoria's focus was on front of house. We had Raven, who helped us. Raven's quite a well-known bartender now. He's out in Seychelles, actually, and he helped us develop the beverage program back then, which was amazing. We were involved with every aspect, everything. There wasn't one thing that wasn't touched by me and Scott. You know, not one thing, nothing. You know, it's not that we weren't agreeing to anything, but we were just so hands-on. That's how it was. Our restaurant. It was our dream to launch. You know, we designed it. We worked with the designers. All of it, the whole lot.
And you should be hands-on.
Music. You know, obviously Vic, the three of us put it all together, and that's what Folly was. What I said, that it just became a venue. So obviously with the restaurant, my dream, the food style, and I designed the kitchen. I got my Charvet suite. Thanks, Naeem. That took a lot of negotiating to get my my cooker, but I got it. And I don't believe we could run that operation without it. I still don't. I feel it was very, very necessary to spend a serious amount of money on a cooking suite. It's what I've trained on, to be honest. It's what I'm familiar with. I could trust it. It's still there. It's going to still be there forever. You know, it's an amazing piece of equipment, and I'm so lucky. That was a goal of mine. And it's a weird thing to say, but it is a goal. So, you know, I do appreciate that. I appreciate that Naeem, you know, saw the benefit of that, you know. And then, it was our personality on it and every part of the restaurant, right? It really was. But we inherited such a large space with all these different areas.
Yes,
and where you can say, oh, we'll do this, we'll do that, we'll do this, we'll do that. Okay, we can, and we did. But to keep that constantly going all the time, it became a challenge.
Yeah, not easy.
And summer, to have so much outdoor space, you know, we all questioned it. We all worried about it a little bit, but you know, look, the idea was to get that restaurant on the map, and we did.
And you did.
Yeah, we did, and it still is now. It does hurt me a little bit to not be there, but I had to move on for myself. Obviously, Gates operate the restaurant 100% now, with Naeem at the top, and I've got to say the right things here. You know, I've got to say a big thank you to Naeem and Gates, because without their support, we wouldn't have achieved our dream. It was our dream, our goal to launch that restaurant. Almost every part of it was what we wanted. There was very little pushback on what we wanted. You know, it was good. It was good. It's how it worked the way that it should. But yeah, what was it? So the time came for me to step away a little bit, having a second kid, and time to give a little bit back to that side of my life. So I've set up a little consultancy on my own.
So KMS?
Yeah. KMS, Kitchen Management Solutions. I'm not... it's not an inventive name. It's very much what it is. I've got so much experience here in Dubai, you know.
And why would you not, with the experience that you have?
Yeah, I think I needed to look at things from a slightly different perspective. I needed to step out of the operation a little bit and look in from the outside. You know, Folly was everything to me. I think most people know that. It still is. But, you know, I've brought Bojan, who was my sous chef for years. I've brought him back in. So it was handed over to a very, very sturdy pair of hands, and also to make sure that Naeem had a strong guy in there to continue, what we'd already achieved, which I believe is being done. It looks like Bojan's taking things to another level, which is great. Me and him are very close. We stay in serious touch together. We're really close, and it's great to be able to give him that platform as well. It really is. It's really a proud moment for me to say, right, it's time for me to look at doing something else with KMS. I had this plan. Scott left the year before to go back home and set up his little business. So I was left with a decision to make. Do I continue, which I did for a while, until it was the right time to say, right, not I've done everything I can, but I want to change as well. And I feel that Bojan was ready for that, for me to step out and him to step in, which I believe I'm saying everything.
Well, and he'd been trained for almost 5 years, I believe.
More.
Right? Under you guys. Yeah.
So he opened Folly with us. He opened all the taste kitchens with us. He was a commie with us at Table 9.
A solid, safe pair of hands. Yeah. Right?
A very, very, very well respected person in my life. He's a great guy, and he's done so much for me, so much. So for me to be able to give him a platform to do his own thing, it's a really nice thing for me to do. He seems to be doing a great job, which is fantastic. I see the food that he's doing, and it's like nice. He is. I was worried he'd do a lot of my stuff, and he's now not. It's similar because there's going to be similarities.
No, of course.
That's the school, right?
It's going to happen.
So KMS. I didn't dream the name. It's not. It's very. It's what it says on the tin. I'm out there to offer advice. I'm here for. A lot of friends have actually contacted me, people that know and can trust me to do a job for them. I can go in, I've recently been at Expo to do a project there. I've helped out a few guys to, just get their kitchens in order a little bit. I think there's the projects that I've done so far, I've only been doing it since October. So where are we? October, November, December, January, February, March, April. 7-8 months. I've been kept really busy. It's I've now got a bit of a balance, which is nice. So I do a full-on job. I cooked a dinner the other night, and I was flat out for 48 hours doing absolutely everything. But then I can take a little bit of a breather and then work on something else. And it's kind of nice to have this slightly staggered way of life at the minute. But I don't think it's forever. I don't think so. I had to step out a little bit to realise where I want to be, and I think to be associated with a restaurant is something I'm missing. I am genuinely, because it's just been my entire life.
It's your DNA.
So not to have anything is I don't miss 24/7 job and the worry of when you've got a 7-day operation, it just doesn't stop, as you know. It doesn't stop. So I think I need to look at potentially doing something again, but it won't be quite the same as what I've done. I'm a full-on guy. I work very hard. I like to work very hard, but it doesn't always help everyone around you when you work very hard. So
understood. I know how you feel.
The tantrums, I don't want them anymore. I don't want tantrums. I've got kids. When it's when you're losing your temper a bit, it's not great. I really want to enjoy what I do, because I do enjoy what I do. And I need to make sure the people that are around me, enjoy it too. And I think to do that, you do need to build the right team, and the team need to have the ability to execute what you want them to execute, rather than plugging gaps and it becoming very frustrating.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So for me, this is something might happen, something might not. But whatever does happen, it will be done the right way with the right people.
Okay. But that's good. Future's bright. There's so many projects going on here. The Middle East is massive, and it's not just about the Middle East. People can reach out to you from all over the world. It's a big deal.
I've done a gig in Saudi. That's the furthest afield I've got to. But you know, I kind of made this decision to be around my family, to be closer to my family. So I don't really want to go too far. But you know, work's work, and you know, if somebody needs something, then you know, I'm generally available. The jobs that I've done, I did a job for 2 months. I've done a job for 3 months. It's a bit of variety, you know, and you're working with different people, and they run their businesses different as well. So again, you're learning. Yeah, you're learning again
from others.
I've just being in Folly. It was as much as I was learning, and you always learn. I mean, it's cliche as anything, but you do learn. You're always learning.
Yes, yeah.
But at what pace? You know, and for me, you know, I like quite a fast pace, and I want to know, and I want to try something different. I want to see something different, and then by that time, I think I'll be ready to put something back in again,
right,
and have a different outlook. Obviously, we do what we do. My food is my food, but you know, it might not necessarily be my food. You know, but I do.
You still do your twist on things.
Yeah, I think I do miss that association with the restaurant. I do, and that's entire honesty.
But would it be bad for you to have different restaurants under your name?
No,
you know, it all depends on
different like an Italian.
No, what I'm saying is that you could always have the KMS brand, have, you know, whether it's an Italian, whether it's a British, whether it's brasserie, because you've done so much. You know, that's also not a bad thing, because it also gives you the opportunity to have a little bit more time with your family. You know, once you set up the base, then you can have the chef in charge, so on and so forth, and you know, you look after it that way, you know, because it does take its toll after a while if you're just so full on constantly. If one thing doesn't suffer, it's another, right? So pick your battles.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Now, you know, you're on a foodie podcast.
Yes.
So,
although I've just talked about my entire history,
which is amazing, because everyone wants to know about it. Now, from all the services that you've done in your life, kitchen services, which it could involve you, it could involve someone else. Don't stitch up Scott.
Me?
Which is the funniest ever kitchen incident that you remember? I'm sure there's been so many.
That is a tough one. Funniest. Well, it's probably... I don't know, because, I don't want to stitch anyone up. That's a tricky one, James.
All right, I'll get back to you.
Me that question.
Back to you. Top 3 culinary heroes.
Wow. I mean, it's got to be... It's got to be Marco. Mm-hmm. It's got to be Gordon.
Yeah.
And Nico, to be honest.
Nice.
And Nico trained them both.
Yeah.
Well, Nico trained Marco, who trained Gordon.
What advice would you give to 16-year-old Nick?
Ooh. To slow down a little bit. I think, as I mentioned earlier, I was kind of had my blinkers on. I knew what I wanted to do, and I went and did it. It's not that I didn't listen to anyone, but there wasn't really anyone around me that knew my industry. So I couldn't really rely on anyone for sound advice. My old man was a bit more money driven, not to be rich, but like
to be stable.
I don't think he fully understood I was happy to work for a very low salary to learn more. I think you understand it, but I think he was like, I think it's just natural to take the better paid jobs for most people. Whereas in our career, it's the wrong move.
Yeah.
So I did it a couple of times, but it was a backward step. So maybe that was the slowing down I was forced to take. But yeah, I mean, I had that plan, and I think I succeeded. But yeah, just slow down a bit.
Okay.
Definitely. Because it was always 12 months out, 12 months out. As I've said, I've been very honest about it. It was only when I got to Claridge's that I was like, I need to stay here. I must stay. So yeah, definitely slow down a bit.
I think that's for all of us, by the way. Slow down.
Yeah.
Especially all the chefs. So another toughie for you. Meal of a lifetime. Where was the one place or the one restaurant that you've dined in your life where you thought, this is unbelievable, and it will stick with you for the rest of your life?
I've been very lucky to eat in so many amazing places. I think, honestly, Guy Savoy. I think that was because it was
In Paris?
Yeah. And L'Atelier de Joël Robuchon in Paris. The originals.
Okay.
In Saint-Germain.
Wow.
The most expensive Sunday lunch I've ever had. It's just a random decision. Let's go there for lunch on Sunday. But it cost a bomb. But I mean, Guy Savoy and the two absolute heroes.
Yeah.
And I think I was just blown away by it. Was everything that was talked about is what it was. You know, there was no. You know, you go to. I mean, the guides now. They were solid 3-star restaurants. You know, they were given 3 stars for that reason. Whereas now you've got 50 best and stuff like that, and they're very varied, the restaurants. But there you would go in Paris. You go to a 3-star. You go to 3-star. There isn't one that's okay and one that's not. They're all
hardcore,
unbelievably amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I have to say those two.
Okay.
To be honest, they blew me away because it's Paris as well. Paris, Michelin, everything.
Yeah, the history behind it is amazing.
Yeah.
Biggest piece of advice for any young chefs who really want to build a solid career, what would you say to them?
What I've said just now was I'll echo that forever. Don't go for the money. Do not take a job for the money. I don't think even Folly, we didn't take that job for the money. You've got to do what you believe in first. Money will come after. If that's what drives you, then that's the wrong motivation. The motivation should be knowledge, because without knowledge, you don't have anything. You need to be humbled. You need to learn, and you need to go to the kitchen and whatever restaurant kitchen you join, wherever you're lucky enough to work. Look at the whole kitchen and say, what do I need to learn from this kitchen, which I'm not going to be able to learn, which is going to be important for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not necessarily you won't be able to learn it in another kitchen, but you need to look around. Like we were talking, like those sauce sections, they were immense. The fish and the meat, it was just like, I need to learn how to do this.
Yeah.
So for me, that, yeah, I mean, you've got to have the drive. You've got to be driven. You need to get up if you've got work to do, you get up and get in that kitchen and get it done.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter if you're slower than everyone else, but you need to get your work done. Otherwise, you're going to have a terrible time. So if that means, as I said, I used to get in the kitchen an hour before everyone else, as Scott used to when he was on Hot Stars at Clark, to get all the pans, I remember. Everybody downstairs carrying the pans up, because you've got to get your work done.
Yeah.
Right? Simple as that.
Yeah.
If you haven't got what you need, more fool you.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
That time. And Nick, if people want to get hold of you personally or with a company, how can they get hold of you from social media?
Chef. My Instagram is @Chef
Alvis.
Chef Nick Alvis.
Yes.
Thank you, Pallavi, for telling me to change my Instagram name. So yeah, @Chef Nick Alvis on Instagram. Some interesting things on there from lots of food images from over the years, which is quite nice to look at. Table 9 food, for example, for anyone that never saw that. It's on my Instagram, which is in lockdown. I did quite a lot of digging through old media files and stuff, and put quite a few things together of what I still say what we've done over the years. Well, it's me now. I have to say it's me. But there's some interesting food images of all the different concepts that we've done over here in Dubai.
Nice.
So that's quite a nice bit of trip down memory lane stuff. And yeah, I've got my website, which is www.ndalvis.com, I believe. Shows how much I look at my own stuff. So yeah, no, have a look at my stuff. It's some interesting thing. I mean, images for chefs, actually.
Yeah.
Obviously, I need to pitch for business and get potential people to work with. But in all honesty, there's some really cool food images that we've done over the years, which I'm very proud of.
Okay.
And you can see the work that we've done for so many years and still doing it. I see myself here for quite a while, and starting to get a bit itchy to get back in the kitchen. So let's watch this space.
Well, look, Nick, thank you so much for coming on the show, being very candid, open and honest about your career, where it's taken you, which is some incredible, amazing places, the real powerhouses of the industry that you've worked with. You've really done an incredible thing. Also, the fact that you yourself, Nick, really put the UAE on the culinary map and globally. You know, you guys have really, honestly smashed it, and a lot of people really go to Folly because of you guys, of what you've done and how you pioneered that space through Table 9 right through to Folly and so on and so forth. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Really looking forward to what you're seeing next and what you're going to do, because I know it's going to be fantastic, and really the very best of luck for the future.
Thank you, James.